Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I am AdamMcKola. So, England are out of the World Cup at the quarter-final stage. And, obviously, the fallout has begun. Everybody is discussing and analysing where it went wrong for England. But, I've got to say, there's no point talking about the tactics. There's no point talking about, the midfield, or Harry Kane's penalty, this, that and the other. The answer is staring us all in the face. Look in the dugout, you will see Gareth Southgate. Now, let's be fair to him. This isn't going to be a show where I'm just going to sit here and absolutely pull him apart and ridicule him, because he's done some good for England. In fact, he's done a lot of good. And for most England fans that aren't old enough to remember '66, he has given them their best memories of their lives. Obviously, the Euros final, the World Cup semi-finals, and coming up short this time around. Probably not many memories really created around this one. More expectations were obviously cranked up, and England got knocked out, as many guessed and I predicted, against the best. You know, as soon as they come up against a decent team, I expected them to go out. I expected that to be France because of the way the groups and the tournament tree kind of lay out, and England were destined to meet France in the quarters, and I thought England would go out there, and that's exactly what happened. Now, we can talk about the penalties and the being unlucky and all these kind of things, but ultimately I think Gareth Southgate has taken this England side as far as he possibly can. Now, he's exceeded expectations quite clearly. When he came in, nobody expected him to do this well. He's united the dressing room, he's made it a happy place to be, he's got the media on side, etc, etc. But ultimately, whenever England come up against a team that is half decent, apart from that Germany game, and I mean, look at Germany, do you know what I mean? All due respect, look at Germany in this tournament, for example. Against Croatia, against France, against Italy, an Italy side that didn't even qualify for the World Cup, England come up short. And when you looked at the Nations League, and you can't count everything by what happens in the Nations League, I felt England were missing a trick. It was an obvious one that was never going to happen because of who Southgate is. But they could have tried different things. They could have tried to, implement a system around the likes of Phil Foden, who's a magnificent footballer, getting him in and around the mix with the likes of Harry Kane ahead of him, who's a world-class striker. And you've got so much talent in this English side. I know I've mentioned two players there, but you look at the amount of talent, some of the talent that didn't even go, some of the talent that was sat on the bench, some of the talent that was given 2 minutes, 5 minutes in the quarter-final stage. When you look at some of the talent that's there, this England side are playing within themselves. There are managers out there that can get so much more out of a team that has the talent and the players that this England side have. When you go from back to front, the likes of Trent, Reece James, Kyle Walker, John Stones and Harry Maguire aren't the worst centre-backs at international level, although I don't personally rate Harry Maguire. You look at left-back, Luke Shaw hasn't been too bad. Even then, you've got the likes of Chilwell and stuff. Further afield in midfield, you've got riches like Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, Mason Mount, James Maddison, all these talented players. Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford, Saka, Harry Kane, Jadon Sancho. I've missed out Sterling, so many players that I've missed out. But there's so much talent in this English team. And when you look at, some of the players France were missing, for example, on the day, England should have been making more of that. Their best chances, outside of the penalties, were a header from Harry Maguire, which he did really well with to get it at goal, which comes off the post, and a Saka chance, which he did really well to get in front of the player, Hernandez I think it was. Once he did, you probably expect him to score, but he did well to get there. Outside of that, England rarely created a chance. And I feel with this batch of players, you don't have to be so negative. Yes, I know, some will argue, look at Didier Deschamps and France. They have not necessarily opened up and they've won the World Cup. But this England team can get at teams. You can still be solid defensively and get at teams, get at defences. And for me, at international level, 75% of the teams England should beat regardless of the 11 we put out. And that's what we've seen. Panama, Iran, you know, Sweden, like Wales. England should be beating these teams. Look at the performance they served up against USA and Scotland, for example. And I just feel like some of those performances against some of those teams have kind of pulled the wool over eyes. And now the media at the moment isn't as negative as it once was. And now it's kind of, because they play darts with Southgate and the players and stuff, they kind of feel like they have to always be positive. And none of them are really saying what's staring them in their face. And that is, the manager isn't getting enough out of this squad, because everybody will sit back and go, oh, this squad's good enough to win the World Cup. This squad's good enough to beat France. This squad's good enough to win the Euros. This squad was good enough to beat that Italy team. This squad is good enough to beat the Croatia team. And yet they didn't. And yet they come up short. And yet tactically they were left found wanting in the big games. Too negative, too scared to go for it. And then look at some of the decisions. Saka was England's best player on the night. Gets taken off. Raheem Sterling's been in London all week. And he comes on when Marcus Rashford's joint top goal scorer for England at this World Cup, and he's sat on the bench. Make it make sense. Everyone was crying about James Maddison being injured. Why were you, and possibly missing the World Cup? He gets himself fit. Why were you even bothered about his injury? He may as well have been injured. He may as well have been back home in Leicester, because he wasn't going to play anyway. And this is the thing, you can have all this talent. He's always going to go for the safe option. He's always going to go for the extra defender, the extra midfielder. He's going to go for Jordan Henderson instead of, maybe a Phil Foden in there and open up a little bit. And this is where you're in danger of wasting time and talent. And I think it's not a case of sacking him, but I think you should probably step down. You've taken England as far as you can go. He deserves to be treated with respect for what he's done. But if he goes to the next tournament, it's going to be the same old again. Come up against France, lose. Italy, Spain, lose. Because tactically, found wanting. And people say Spain ain't even in the World Cup no more. Yeah, cool. Nor at Italy. And Italy beat England in the Euro. It's like, gotta be doing more with this team. You don't want to waste it. But I think England fans are scared to say it. Or some of them are at least. And most in the media are scared to say it. And that's not saying it should be full of vitriol and all that. It doesn't have to be like that. But it's the truth. Anyway, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Is this the end of Gareth Southgate? Should he walk away? I don't think he should be sacked. This isn't what I'm saying. This isn't one of those football fan channel going mad, just wants someone sacked. I ain't that guy, and if you watch me on a regular basis, you know I'm not that guy. But he shouldn't have been taking his team to the World Cup. Should have been thanked for his services, moved on, and brought someone in a long time ago. And there's some, you can't say there's no decent people. Who are you going to get? Thomas Tuchel's out there looking for a job. Pochettino's out there looking for a job. They're much better coaches than Southgate. When Southgate leaves England, where will he go? He'll get a job at the FA. You know why? Because no other football club at the top level would want him. Any Premier League top 10 club would want him. United City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, no chance. Arsenal, no chance in hell. Newcastle, no chance. That's already what, 7 teams? I don't think he'd ever end up at Everton, even though they're a basket case of a club. Southampton wouldn't appoint him. Couldn't see Palace appointing him. Villa wouldn't appoint him, and he played there. Like, I can't see any Premier League team appointing him. Championship? Maybe. But that's my point. Not good enough, in my opinion, to get what is needed out of this team to deliver a trophy or deliver the football that would get you to where we're getting anyway. See you in a bit.